Okay, we're gonna talk about arm training today, specifically tricep training. So I have some of my favorite movements that I like, about 3 movements picked out that I do every tricep workout currently. So I'm gonna run you guys through those, but I'm also gonna give you guys a variation so you guys can find something that suits you. Maybe you don't have the machines or the attachments or something that I'm utilizing, but that way we can kind of tailor it so you guys can take something from this and apply it to your own training, hopefully help grow your triceps. One thing that's gonna help me grow my triceps today is the blood shot. This is our pump formula. On something like an arm day or tricep training, I definitely want to focus on the pump. So this is our pump formula that's gonna help me drive a lot of blood into the muscle, help me connect, help me pump up, and ultimately help me grow bigger triceps. So I'm gonna sip on this, and then we're gonna jump over and I'm gonna show you guys some tricep exercises. First training tip is to not do this. I have no idea what's going on here, but this is completely unnecessary. So here we are at a cable station where you don't really need chalk. So I don't know what happened. This is just disrespectful. So that would be my first tip of the day. Don't do this stuff. This is so unnecessary. First movement I want to talk about is just a tricep press down. Now when we're talking about the setup of this, I see a lot of people have it at the highest point where they have to pull it down into position and then work. One thing I like to do, when the weight's nice and light, it doesn't really matter. I like to just adjust it down to where it's in a position to work, right? That way we're not wasting energy pulling it down to position and then work. I like to be nice and upright when I do this. I don't want to be over the weight and leveraging my body weight against it. I want to be nice and upright and focus on just elbow flexion. Only thing that's going to be moving is my elbow. That's the only joint that's moving. So I really prefer to keep these close to me. And if you've ever just sat here with your tricep locked out and then you just drift that arm back to your side, you'll feel that contraction get harder the closer you get to your body. Let me show you guys a little bit of tricep action here. I want to stretch the tricep, but I don't want to completely relax. You see, there's not really any stress on my tricep here. I don't have to fight to keep it in the tricep here. I'm just kind of collapsed and it's just sitting here and I can hold this all day. But this, if I'm here just above parallel, I'm fighting with the tricep to keep it from going all the way up. So what I don't want to see is this. What I rather see is squeeze, control up, stretch, and then come back down. But one variation that I like to do here is going to be a single arm press down. What I like to do, I have this cuff here, this Harbinger ankle cuff. I like to utilize this to do a single arm movement. Now the reason I like the cuff, because I don't necessarily want to focus on holding onto a handle. I like to just sit my hand in here and work without having to focus on holding onto a handle. I still want to maintain that upright position. So what I do is I like to brace my hand here. That way I'm stable. I'm able to kind of lean against this and take away the need to stabilize with my core or anything in my body and focus on just my tricep. Now again, when I talk to you guys about that contraction at the side, this is really gonna help us. It's really gonna help us dig in and get that hard contraction at the side. So I like to step to the side to where that cable lines up right next to me. That way I'm not kind of pulling down right in front of the cable. Get off to the side slightly. Elbows pinned right to my side, shoulders down, and then we just contract the tricep. All right, so when it comes to my tricep training, I like to have a few key elements. I like to have an isolation movement like that easy curl press down that we just did, but I also want to have some form of compound movement that I can load the triceps a little bit heavier. So I have this dip machine here. You guys might not all have this dip machine, so you can do a body weight dip And another movement I really like is like a close grip bench press. Something that we can really load the triceps and load all heads and not just focus on trying to isolate. So with this machine, I like to sit with my chest really close against the pad and stay nice and upright. So when I get into position here, I want to drive down in the triceps, squeeze the triceps, but as I come up, I want to make sure that I'm not shrugging up with the movement. So I want that movement to be in my elbow joint. So we're always aiming for elbow flexion when we're training triceps. So if you see here, as I come up, my shoulders stay down and the bend is only in my elbow. Don't be afraid to spend a little bit of time here in the stretch because it's difficult. Sit here in the stretch, explode down, and really squeeze. Now control up, stretch, squeeze. Some of you might not have a dip machine like what I have back there, but most everybody's going to have some form of dip machine, dip bar rather. And this is what I have. I have a Cybex assisted dip, and I am kind of fat right now, so I'm gonna use the assistance just for the sake of demonstration here. Now this one actually has two different handle positionings. As you see, this swivels in and out. If I'm gonna try to focus on my triceps, I'm gonna swivel this in. That way I can keep the elbows tucked in closer to the body. When doing a dip, there's a few ways you can do this, right? So you can think about leaning forward and you can really load the pecs, right? Squeezing the chest, but that's not what we want to do. We want to squeeze the triceps. So I'm gonna maintain that upright body position, just like back there on the dip machine, and I'm gonna come down and I'm gonna keep that stretch in the triceps, come up and squeeze with an upright body position. Okay, so like I mentioned before, I like to have an overhead tricep movement, and this is really gonna help influence the use of the long head of the tricep. Now, isolating tricep heads, it's impossible to completely isolate any head of the tricep. When we're talking about elbow flexion, all heads of the tricep are gonna be working to move that elbow through its range of motion, but something like an overhead tricep movement is really going to place a stretch on this long head where it attaches at the elbow and will influence the use of that head more. A mistake I see a lot of people doing is overarching, right? So you're here and it seems like you're getting more range of motion out of the tricep, but in fact, you're just getting range of motion out of your spine. So I like to have my sternum tucked, my core tight, and when I get that arm behind me, I like the stretch to be in my arm, not because I'm giving way with my spine, right? So sternum tucked, big deep stretch on the triceps, and then press up. Now I'm not trying to press away from me here. I want to press straight up and get that contraction up and over my head where I'm really squeezing the hell out of the tricep. And I'm coming back down, deep stretch. Again, all the same principles apply, you guys. I want to spend some time in those end ranges, really controlling that change of direction. I don't want to see this. I want to come down, I want to squeeze, I want to feel it, and then I want to drive up and I want to contract. Come down, big stretch. With these movements, I'm really focusing on the stretch. So that first movement was more of a contraction movement where I'm really focusing on a hard squeeze. Then we've got the compound heavy movement like the dip. Now this is about the stretch and really prioritize getting that bar behind me. Now, I like to keep my feet staggered, that way I can remain stable. You can kind of put your butt against the bar, but that's a little sus, so we'll just try to stay away from it. Again, I don't want to see a lot of drifting in the elbows, or in the shoulder joint. I want to maintain the bend with the elbow. So I want to come back behind me, big stretch, hard contraction. Now, you notice as I'm down here, I'm getting less of a stretch than if I have my chest a little taller. So if I allow my elbows to get a little bit more behind me, I'm able to get a bigger stretch on the tricep. All right, guys, so that's 3 tricep movements that I'm currently doing in my rotation, along with 3 different variations that you guys can hopefully use with your training to help you build big triceps. Obviously, an essential part of that is going to be utilizing the bloodshot for sick tricep pumps. So use code Shier10, go to HOSSTILE.com. You guys know the drill. Anyway, thanks for watching. Hope you guys learned something. We'll catch you on the next one.